Hey, what's going on, everybody? Bivers Andy here, and today Bit Heroes has dropped one of the biggest updates in a long time. We've got a brand new world boss, Project Goodall, and this comes with all sorts of things, new fusions, new equipment, as well as a game-changing harvester rework. And also, in other news, we also had a significant nerfs to the meta-defining set Scramble Egg. So let's break it all down. Starting off with the hype news of the new world boss. Super proud to be on the same news panel as the Lord Malacrog. So shout out to the Bit Heroes team for the content creator spotlight once again here. But Project Goodall is released as of today, March 20th, 2025. And you guys can see here, finally, it is available in-game. Project Goodall, the last world boss available. And it is available at tier 7, 14, and 21 for you. Pretty much early, mid, and end game players will be able to jump in and fight for some of the new amazing loot. I also want to call out that in the tier 21, there is an ancient difficulty world boss coming for the very first time, and it is technically the best to farm because it does come with a bonus 25% item find over heroic, but I don't know how good the win rates will be on long-term grinding. This ancient difficulty is also crucial for reforging the harvester, which was the tier 8 ancient, the very first ancient introduced into Bit Heroes. A lot of people have been saying for a very long time harvester is kind of booty cheek. All it gave you was a 5% chance to use a random skill at the beginning of your turn. However, literally within minutes of this update releasing today, there was a first clear as well as a first craft. Now it was neck and neck, and in fact I'm pretty sure they teamed up for the battle, but Nathan TK and Hip224 both already have the elemental supercharged harvester. While we're on the topic here, I did get some screenshots from Nathan. Super big shout out to Nathan for sending these over. And just pulling those up now, I mean, here's him in game wielding the harvester. This one appears to be the air damage version. And you can see here the bonus. It's very similar for all the versions. It gives you an elemental damage as well as an elemental resist. And then this is the big change though. It gives 35% chance to use a random skill for free at the start of each turn instead of the 5%. So literally 7 times stronger than Harvester used to be. If you guys are curious, I'm just going to fly through these skills. Here's the skills for the air. You can see it has bleeds. And here is the fire version. You can see the cosmetic here. And then fire damage, earth resist, same 35% chance, as well as the fire skills. Here is the earth version, as well as the earth skills. Here is the electric version, which looks pretty cool here. And the electric skills. The water version. And the water skills. And that is pretty much it, actually. So you'll notice like on all of these, they pretty much all have their elemental triggers. Like for water, it has freeze. They all have a spread heal, and they all have a use an extra random skill as well. Super cool to see players getting that day one, if not pretty much hour one of the new release. So big props to Nathan for what I believe was the world first craft, and also big props to Hip for being neck and neck with him. Now, as for the difficulty of the Ancient, I actually was able to clear it myself. Not solo. I was definitely carried. And in fact, I grabbed a video of it. Here I am with World Leader, Mercer, and Mental clearing it. And we were able to beat this on our first try. So as far as the difficulty of the new Ancient World Boss, some people are let down. I would argue that this was probably easier than clearing the current D4, especially because you do get to bring 3 other heroes that might be perfectly min-maxed. So for this Ancient, it is very carryable. And here I am, I'm going to claim the milestone for beating Malacrog's demise. This is beating it on heroic difficulty, getting the new fusion material, and here's beating it on the Ancient difficulty, earning the milestone Cosmic Elemental Mayhem. And there's the brand new Ancient material. I love how it actually has an animation there. The unstable bit Ridium. That is awesome. So that is what we know about the new Ancient. Looks like a very elemental focused weapon. I'm super curious to see all the builds that will come out of that. Now, just touching on the brand new sets coming into the game, and we'll start with Tier 7. The new Tier 7 set is called Boom Smasher. And it takes up the slots ring, body, head, and main hand. And the set bonuses are gain shield when you drop below half health, gain redirect while your teammates are up, and gain 15% deflect when your last teammate alive. So I don't think this one will be taking over the meta, but nevertheless, at tier 7, a decent tank option. Just touching on the new mythics, there's a 10% block one and a 3% deflect, also available at tier 7. Moving on to tier 14, we see the new set called Hazmat. That gives you 5% revitalize, plus 10% dual strike each hit until you dual strike, then it will reset. Then you also have 75% chance to give Heartwood to all teammates at the start of your turn. On its own, this set seems okay. Seems like a very, very supportive set with that revitalize and giving Heartwood. But I really want to call this out. A GVG team might want to consider running a Hazmat player with very high speed who's giving a ton of Heartwood stacks to all teammates. And I'll show you why when we get to the tier 21 set. Covering the mythics here, we see gain 2 SP the first time you heal per battle, as well as gain 0.5% healing for each 1% earth damage you have, up to 25%. Okay, so what I was theory crafting with the Hazmat suit. Keep in mind, 75% chance to give Heartwood to all teammates at the start of your turn. Imagine someone with super, super high speed partnered on a GVG team with someone with the new Protoplague set. This is the tier 21 World Boss set coming to Bit Heroes that dropped in Bit Heroes today. And the 2 out of 4, dual strike with teammates alive, that's great. 3 out of 4, 50% chance to add a stack of Heartwood to a random teammate when you hit an enemy. Amazing. But the 4 out of 4 is what I really want to call out here. And this is what a lot of people are theory crafting might become the new best DPS set in Bit Heroes. It says, whenever a teammate gains 4 stacks of Heartwood, remove them and deal damage to the weakest enemy. That could be huge. If you have someone with the Hazmat build with very, very high speed, they might get a few turns before anybody else, and they have a 75% chance to be stacking Heartwood. You also, with the 3 out of 4, have 50% chance to add Heartwood to a random teammate when you're hitting an enemy. Basically, the more Heartwood stacks that go out on your team, the more Heartwood bombs you can put out. Imagine 3 super speed Hazmat players rocking with 1 Protoplagger. If everybody on the team is able to get 4 stacks of Heartwood, bombs are just flying left and right. So a lot of potential here. Obviously, not many players have their hands on this yet as it just dropped. So yeah, a lot of potential with this set. A lot of people are theory crafting with the Heartwood bombs that this could be very, very viable. Just covering the new mythics here as well. The offhand mythic gives 2 stacks of Heartwood to all teammates whenever an enemy dies. So this one is pretty strong as well. You just kill 2 enemies and then boom, everybody on your team has 4 Heartwood stacks and you're dropping multiple Heartwood bombs here with Protoplague. The other mythic is 0.5% earth damage for each 1% of air resistance you have. I also want to call out that there is a mount available at any difficulty, the Quantum Spider. Pretty cool mount. So that is everything with the new equipment. The new version of Harvester, the new mythics, as well as the new set pieces. So obviously there's a handful of new sets and mythics to be trying out, and this could shake up the meta, especially because the meta is being shaken up a ton right now with the latest Scramble Egg nerf. If I pull up the Bitverse announcements here, not only was the new World Boss coming out, but there was a huge change to Scramble Egg. Instead of Scramble Egg bombing the entire enemy team, it now just bombs the closest enemy, as well as they changed Scramble Egg to allow it to proc effects, fundamentally changing it from true damage to normal damage. And we can see in game here, if I pull up Scram build and just mouse over it, you can read now it has a chance to deal damage to the closest enemy 3 times. So between the past couple of nerfs, taking away the combust as well as making this a single enemy, and in fact its closest, which is primarily tanks, huge nerfs to Scramble Egg. I could see a lot of teams changing this off their roster for PvP and GVG. So obviously there's some huge changes to the meta in Bit Heroes. Less Scrams, and maybe we'll see more Heartwood sets coming out. There's also a handful of new familiars. Now, if I just pull up the Project Goodall, what you can loot, there is a handful of there's a couple of new rares, couple of new epics. but I think 90% of people are focused on what about the legendaries as well as the mythic. Now, just to spoil right off the rip, the new legendaries are looking pretty good. I do want to point you to a few videos covering each of the legendaries in the description below. There is World Eater's video covering Roosevelt, Neflarian's video covering Octakill, and my video covering Luxo. Links to those in the description, check those out. But we have not seen a real deep look at Lord Malacrog. And let me tell you this, Lord Malacrog is looking juiced. Oh, I can't click on him. Okay, jumping out of the game here, let me pull up a website with it. Bit Heroes Steam announcement where they announced Lord Malacrog, basically showing all of his skills as well as his bonus. And let me tell you, Lord Malacrog's bonus is one of the most unique, customizable, juiced options we've seen in Bit Heroes. Starting off, 10% block chance. Okay, right? His stats are super, super favorable. He looks like he's going to be a bait tank, able to bait for the best of them. And where people are going bananas over him is this bonus right here. Double the power of your pump augments. Now, if you fully stable and have mythic augments, so I'm talking cream of the crop, best of the best, you can put something like 15% evade on one pump, right? And there's 3 pumps. So you could do 15%, 15%, 15%, totaling 45%, and that gets doubled. Now, I know we said evade, that would be 90%. It caps at 75%. But this does mean, like, if you wanted, you could use Empower and actually have 90% Empower. You could use Dual Strike, have 90% Dual Strike on him. Now, obviously, he's a bait. He has super low speed, but that damage with high Empower or Dual Strike could go nutty. And the most crazy idea I've thought of is Ricochet. If you put 3 Ricochet chance mythic pumps on him, 15 plus 15 plus 15 is 45% times 2. 90% Ricochet. Now, if you are unfamiliar with Ricochet, Ricochet can continue to Ricochet. 9 times out of 10 you use a skill, it ricochets. 9 times out of 10 that it ricochets, it will ricochet again and again and again. I don't know how this will pan out in use. Obviously, we still have to get our hands on Lord Malacrog, but 90% ricochet, that's just the pumps too. You still have your bone, brain, and chip to play around with. Like, holy crap. 90% ricochet sounds absolutely nutty, and we'll have to see if that's viable and how it works, but super, super customizable. If you do want to use him as a bait, because he only has 10% block and really all of his power comes from pumps, you can bring him whatever way you want. If you want a damage reduction, you can do a couple pumps in damage reduction. If you want evade, you could do a couple pumps in evade partnered with a chip. Super, super customizable to all of your bait needs. And his skills are also pretty juiced. His 0 SP does earth damage and furies his team. He's also not required to hit the enemy, so super PvP viable. Shield and heal self. He also puts out roots as well as damage self, which if you have 90% ricochet, be super careful damaging yourself because it might, that ricochet I believe will ricochet between your team. So just beware. And then there's also dealing damage to target, draining as well as gaining Heartwood. Could partner well with the new tier 21 set there. Heal and cleanse all teammates. And then the 4 SP is absolutely crazy. I can't even imagine this with 90% ricochet. Deals damage to random enemy and self 10 times. Like, holy crap. So super, super, super interesting bait tank. A lot of people are thinking that he might become the #1 best in slot, most meta bait. And I really want to get my hands on him. So overall, the new world boss, Lord Malacrog, or Project Goodall, I should call it. 3 new sets, 6 new mythics, a supercharged harvester, 3 new legendary fusions, as well as the mythic bait, Lord Malacrog himself. And it is live in-game tonight. You guys can start grinding this right now. I'm super, super glad that they nerfed Scram. This was the most used set in GVG and Endgame. And the fact that it no longer hits the whole team for that 4 out of 4 bonus makes it much less viable. Literally 1/4 the power, pretty much. Now, if you did rely on Scramble Egg, you might need to reconsider your build. It's definitely still usable, but it is, way, way weaker. And if you are looking for a new set to try out, you might have to check out that new tier 21 set, Protoplague, because that is looking very, very good for DPSs. So how do you guys feel about the changes? Are you excited for Malacrog? Are you going to be grinding him out yourself? Let me know in the comments if you guys have any build ideas or theories around the new sets. And if you found this helpful, drop a like, sub if you haven't already, and make sure to check out the 3 legendary familiar sneak peek videos in the description below from myself, World Leader, and Neflarian. Before I sign out, I want to give a huge thank you to all my current channel members, Twitch subscribers, as well as my current stream boss, Jason Baker. Thank you so much for supporting on stream. That's all for this one, guys. Until next time, everybody, take care and good luck on the fresh grind.